Today, I want to talk about a painful subject for many mental health counselors. I know from probably more than 100 conversations I had with mental health counselors, is that after graduating from your master's program, you probably ended up in student debt with a student debt that needs to be paid off. And the problem is not just the student debt, but also the sunk cost of choosing to go into a master's program, studying for 3 years, and not making an income during that time, or at least making a very partial income that you could have been making if you would work full time for 3 years. So, on the one hand, you paid for a pretty expensive program for 3 years, and you didn't make a lot of income during those 3 years. On the other, you are expected to pay it all back, and it starts pretty soon after your graduation. Now, the question is how to make sure that you pay off the student debt as soon as possible, because um, it just makes more sense financially. Now, this is this post, this uh, podcast episode started with a question I answered on Facebook. There was a private practice therapist who was asking, well, how can I pay my student debt as soon as possible? And my answer was maybe slightly unorthodox. It wasn't about how to break it into payments that make sense. It wasn't about maybe some paths such as working with a nonprofit for 10 years. It was different. What if you could have a private practice where you earn more than 100K a year, and you can build that within a year to 2 years? The math is pretty simple. If you end up even in 100K in debt, and you make sure you save and pay off as much as possible every month, you'll be done with this student debt in a few years' time. And beyond the math part, and beyond not having to pay for that every month, the advantage of it is this psychological, uh, huge psychological win, right? The relief from not having a big debt, the relief of not having an anxiety, paying it off for such a long time. Now, there are even more benefits in terms of having your private practice that I won't go into in depth today. But what about further education? You probably want to continue growing as a mental health counselor. You probably want to improve your skills even further so that you live your life according to your values of helping people, and helping people as efficiently as you possibly can. So, when you build a private practice where you're getting paid for more than 100K a year, what you can do is to invest in yourself and your skills further, even more. For example, one thing you can do is pay off your PhD program, if that's what you want to do, out of pocket, not going into student debt anymore. You can, if you want to take on additional trainings, let's say you want to focus on trauma and you want to learn from the best experts in the world, when you have a steady income that is high enough, you're not just paying off your student debt, you can take those trainings without second thoughts, right? It's just that easy, and you're paid off from your taxes. Um, so it might make sense to you to invest uh, a few $100 or maybe a few thousand into uh, loaning what you haven't loaned so far in your master's program, which kind of doesn't make sense. That if one of the best paths to paying off your student debt, as well as creating a successful career as a mental health counselor, is having a successful private practice, why haven't you been taught that in your master's program? Again, the reasons for that are pretty pretty extensive, but the main thing to consider is that you cannot grow your private practice fast if you don't know what you don't know, right? You have to have a clear plan. You need to know what to focus on first, and you need to know the shortest path to growing your practice so it won't take too much time. So I hope it's been helpful in terms of understanding that the shortest path to paying your student debt is actually having a high income as a private practice therapist. Um, and of course, that's my biased view. So I'm curious if you have any other thoughts and comments, please comment below, and I'll see you in the next episode.